wherever he may be. And to all our council persons who are here, we would like to begin our committee meetings this evening. We have several of them: Transportation Sales Tax Special Committee, our Environmental Management Committee, Administrative Policies and Rules Committee, Public Safety Committee, Planning and Public Works, and then we have a Finance Committee meeting. At this time, I believe Secretary Hall is going to come and lead us in the potential future transportation sales tax presentation. And we are so happy to have Secretary Hall, along with Chernoff Newman and others, helping to facilitate this process. Thank you, Secretary Hall.
Thank you, Chairman and members of Council. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon to help walk through the potential future transportation sales tax extension here for Charleston County. As you know, at the last meeting, Council talked about wanting a new approach to the TST as far as development of the program, to rethink the program and ensure that robust public, stakeholder, municipal government, basically a robust engagement opportunity and listening sessions were held on a potential future program, and that there's a transparent decision-making process throughout the entire effort on the future TST, potential future TST. So with that in mind, looking ahead on the calendar as far as what the next 100 days will hold, as you know, Chernoff Newman presented I think we called it the 60-day report, basically the historical perspective on past TSTs 1 and 2, and provided the information for you in a very nice report summarizing the significant impacts that the program had here in Charleston County. That brings us to today on our new approach, and that's to receive an updated revenue estimate that's been prepared by your CFO and cross-checked with the state economist in Columbia, and to hopefully establish a first draft, and I want to emphasize first draft or starting point of potential investment categories of a future yet to be determined TST program. Again, Council's made no firm decision that you're going to move forward with a future TST. You're still in the information, thought, coordination and collaboration stage of a potential future program. And then September through mid-November, we envision that the team will engage in a lot of robust public opportunities with the municipal government, stakeholder groups, community groups, basically large listening sessions throughout the community to hear from the public on their comments and thoughts on the potential future TST in the investment categories, and actually to go ahead and try to solicit some candidate projects from the community of areas that may be of concern and the community would want to see addressed with a future potential TST. And then in November, December, we envision coming back to Council to provide you information on the input that's been received to date, including the municipal input that we expect to receive from the municipalities and other groups that will be engaged in these listening sessions. And then we would anticipate that you would, at that point, potentially direct that once the categories are established and some, a updated draft, we're still not going to call it final, but an updated draft version of a potential TST that you would hopefully direct the team to move forth now and start trying to populate these categories with potential projects, still aligning it to the input that's been received in Council direction. And then hopefully in January of 2026, we would have what I would consider a final draft product for you to consider. Again, plenty of opportunities to make adjustments depending on the desire of Council at that point in time. So the first major update I have for you is that there has been an updated revenue projection that's been prepared. As you know, back in November of 2024, the TST that was on the referendum had a $5.4 billion revenue estimate, which had a little bit of age to it. It was close to 18 months old, almost 24 months old. And so as part of this new approach to really looking at everything top to bottom, your CFO prepared an updated estimate. And that updated estimate came in lower than 5.4. And so after a lot of discussion, we decided it would be a great idea to cross-check this revenue estimate with an independent entity. And so we all reached out to the state economist through the South Carolina Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office and had them prepare an estimate of a potential future TST, and both numbers came back almost identical. And those numbers reflect an updated, conservative revenue estimate of $4.25 billion for a potential future TST over a 25-year period. Now that number, as I said, is a conservative number. It takes into account actual receipts that have been seen, which is a lower receipts have been received than what was originally projected with the 2024 number. So looking at the lower actual revenues and using receipts versus projected previously, as well as looking at a more conservative forward look, that's brought us to the $4.25 billion figure. Any questions on the revenue estimate? Okay. Well, thank y'all. So as I mentioned earlier, Chernoff Newman provided an update for you on the TST 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And those programs, when you look at them as a whole, combined together, they prepared this graphic for you, and that was presented in the report last time you met, and it reflected that over the life of TST 1 and 2, that the Greenbelt had received about 13% of the TST funding, infrastructure 62%, and public transit 25%. So that's the historical rearview mirror look of the TST.
Excuse me.
So it seems that's a good point to start from when you want to talk about potential future numbers going forward. So again, as a starting point to initiate discussions, not saying these are the right numbers or the wrong numbers or my recommendation or anything like that, but just basically saying let's just carry these numbers forward to start the discussion. So moving forward, if we carry the 13% for Greenbelt and 25% for transit, again, not saying those are the right numbers, wrong numbers, what they need to be. Clearly, that's a decision by council. If we carry those forward, and if we do a placeholder for 5% for bonding, because I clearly heard from council that you want to seize any and all opportunities to accelerate projects, 5% placeholder, and then populate the rest with roadway infrastructure and bike pedestrian. The bike pedestrian at 5% and roadway infrastructure is basically what's left over when you look at it. So this is the first draft staff work, just carrying forward the Greenbelt and transit numbers from historical perspective to get us to a starting point for discussion. And then rounding out the conversation from council, during the workshop, you talked about a lot of different elements that you'd like to see in a future program, and I've tried to capture those here. And let's just start with the Greenbelt side. It included protective purchases of land, public parks. You emphasized waterway access if possible, green spaces and greenways. You'd want to see investments there. You'd want to see on transit to continue and expand service for transit, making sure that LCRT was brought to reality. On the bike pedestrian, that you want to continue to close gaps and expand the sidewalk and bicycle network within the community and address known safety concerns. And then on the roadway side, I heard you talk about you wanted to improve pavements, address rural safety, intersection safety, bottlenecks, whether it's congested intersections, widening projects that need to happen, signal coordination through technology and expanded signal coordination systems, and operational changes, which in this aspect means maybe just a simple turn lane addition, restriping of a road, easier, faster-paced solutions to some of these congestion issues. And then completion of very specific carryover projects from your previous TSTs that are identified priority projects that are underfunded or unfunded, such as PCP3, perhaps US 78, those types of projects is what we're talking about. And then finally, project management to deliver this program for you. So those are the elements that I gathered from your conversation previously that were important. The question I have for you all is there anything missing from this particular chart that you want to see added? What's your thoughts on the percentages? Do you want to see something different? Do you have any specific direction for us on public engagement?
All right, so let's open this up for some discussion around those questions. Anyone? Mr. Queerman. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman. Well, first of all, thank you, Secretary Hall. I'm encouraged by what we've done thus far, and I think the process that you've laid out is a good one and a thorough one, and I think that's going to serve us well. I did actually, before I get into some of my thoughts and reactions, I did have a question. When you talk about specific carryover projects, is the idea that this would not be the same carryover project list that we, proposed last year, I guess? Or is there going to be some alteration to that, or?
Yes, sir. If it's council's desire, perhaps you may want to request that the team, including county staff, go back and look at all previously previous unfunded or underfunded projects and bring back a potential list of those projects to be included in the carryover list. But our recommendation would be that it's a very specific list.
Okay. I maybe hadn't anticipated that, and I think that's certainly something we should look at. I did want to share, some of my initial reactions, specifically on the transit piece. Understand this is a sort of a starting point. Understand that this is, basically taken from the historical average. I've talked before about what I believe is a real need to expand transit, and I after I met with you, Secretary Hall, and I kind of looked at this, I did a little bit of investigating as to what expansion of the transit system would look like at a 25% level. I asked our Mr. Mitchum at CARTA to kind of present some different scenarios. And, from my understanding and from looking at the numbers, I'll just share with everybody that it seems that, truly expanding CARTA's either footprint or frequency. I think frequency is actually maybe an undersold aspect of what makes a successful transit system. But to really improve that, I think 25% is leaving too much up to chance. That's going to depend certainly on some discretionary federal funding. I know historically we do get, a fair chunk of it. But by my running of the numbers at least, it looks like even under favorable projections of federal funding, we'd still be looking at a deficit if we were trying to do, basically an increase of about 10% service level of the transit system. Without getting too far into the weeds, I would just say that I think we really need to build that into the sort of the bottom line here. So I would like to see that number increased such that there's basically no deficit. Any overage that we were to get from discretionary grants from the federal government, would be happy to, have that spill over into other buckets. But I do think that we'd be missing a real opportunity here. Only comes around, I guess, every 25 years. I know we're on a sort of staggered schedule here, but I think the next one would be 41 in any event. So we're still looking at 16 years out for the next opportunity here. And I think we'd be missing an opportunity to we talk about development in this region and needing to get out ahead of development, needing to not be reactive but be proactive. And I really think transit is a key piece of that. We talk about our sustainability plan that we've passed here. We talk about the housing plan. I think that really meshes with what we're trying to do on a sort of global, broad-based perspective here. And so I would like to see that notched up to 30 or even 35% in terms of what we take to the public. we can get their reaction. I think, the first priority is obviously passing this thing, or at least presenting something that the public would be interested in passing. And so, we can get those reactions. But I would propose that sort of to the group and to the team and to the public. So those are my initial thoughts on it.
All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to have a word? All right, thank you. Vice Chair Karowski.
Well, thank you for all that you've done. What does rural safety mean?
It's a great question, sir. So rural safety here will most likely mean either rural intersection improvements and or improvements to rural roads. So, shoulder widening, signage, rumble strips, rumble stripes, somewhat mirroring what the state does on the primary network, but maybe focused in on the secondaries here within Charleston County. So we still have some staff work to do on this particular rural safety issue to come back with a more robust product for you to consider. But the thought is to ensure that investments are made in the rural areas to deal with safety.
And the other issue I wanted to ask, with increased flooding, and that's going to be a problem increasingly as we go forward. Last time we talked a lot about drainage and flooding. Is there a way to work that in the legal framework that we can allot some of this money for because flooding affects the infrastructure, flooding affects our ability to use the roads. How does that factor, and can it be factored in, and have we factored that in? Because that's going to be increasingly an issue. Now we're projecting for the next 25 years, this would be a great time to try to address it. So
yes, sir. That's another great observation. And I think on the flooding, the way this is set up currently, and again, this is the whole point of having the public dialogue and the open communication with regards to the priorities, is flooding now, as we understand it, would need to be tied to one of these elements. So like if a road's being repaved or widened or something like that, then addressing the existing issues on that section of road could be part of the scope of that work. We hear some comments about addressing flooding more broadly, and I think there's still some staff work that needs to be done on that with regards to what's allowable through Department of Revenue. So more to come on that, Council Member. But at this point in time, our thoughts are that it would be embedded in one of these categories, either pavements or widenings or intersections.
thank you. I just have one more comment.
Yes, sir.
I thank you for the Greenbelt thing. I would personally like a little bit more for that because I see that as part of infrastructure, especially I represent the largest rural area remaining, and to be able to buy land to put it off from development will help reduce the need for future infrastructure. So it's tied together to strategically put land so it can't be developed and add to our stress of the roads, especially in the rural areas. So I see that kind of could join the help for the future issues. So I'd like to see that bumped up a little bit. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Boykin.
Chair. Mr. Kaprowski, all of the drainage infrastructure projects would have to be tied to a specific transportation project under the TST sales tax or transportation sales tax. If we wanted to do specific projects related to drainage that doesn't relate to roadways or transportation, it would have to be done under a capital expenditure sales tax, and it'd be identified projects listed under there, and that would be outside the scope of the TST.
I just meant that. I'm sorry.
We
go
have to
ahead.
make certain we have
And
two
then
additional people in the queue.
Sorry. And I guess the other point I wanted to make on the Greenbelt side of this, where it says protect the purchases of land, it's inferred that includes conservation easements, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Hall, for being here. I think this is a great start. I like the allocations to see how we've been doing them in the past. It's a good place to start. We may have other tweaks that come along with it, but I would like to suggest that probably if we do a road project that the planning that would go into that road project would make sure that that road's not going to flood. I mean, you know, that there's going to be resiliency is going to be built into that road before it gets built or to that project. So I'm sure that that's part of the case, and I wanted to thank you. I think that what we do have to remember here is we got 100%. This is a zero-sum game. So if we take 5% from one of these pies, one of those pies is reduced by 5%. So, and that's going to be something we have to work on. And we may need to have a workshop or something that we can actually sit down and hammer this stuff out. And you know, I don't know. I think that might be what we come to.
Yeah, this is the beginning, and certainly these percentages are arbitrary at this point. Mr. Wehrman?
Well, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And sort of to both of those points, I mean, I get this is the starting point. I think that where you start can affect where you finish. And I was sort of waiting for folks to go around the horn. Maybe to just put a finer point on it, though, I mean, I would make a motion to amend the draft potential investment categories to increase transit to 35%. And, you know, if we got to be specific about where we're taking it out, I'd take it out of roadway and infrastructure because that's the biggest one. So if we're ready for motions, I'd make that. I didn't want to, I kind of thought we were going to have a little bit more general discussion before we got into that. And I'm happy to hold off on that if we are, but it seemed like maybe there was less enthusiasm to jump in than I had anticipated.
All right. So there's no second. Yeah.
I'm aware. That's why I was waiting on it too, Chairman.
Right, so there's no second. Mr. Boykin, I believe Mr. Boykin may have a motion, so let's hear Mr. Boykin's motion.
Chair. I would move to direct staff and the consultants to seek and solicit input from the public, stakeholders, and our municipal government partners on a potential future extension of the transportation sales tax. In particular, recognizing that this is just a starting point to get the discussions moving, Council is requesting feedback on the first draft of the investment category allocations and potential uses. If there are any missing elements, and what top issues or projects do they want to see addressed by a potential future transportation sales tax. Additionally, staff is directed to review the list of previously approved transportation sales tax projects and identify specifically which currently unfunded or underfunded projects should be considered for inclusion in the carryover list for a potential future program. Finally, staff and the consultants are to return to the committee in approximately 90 days to provide council information on the input received, recommendations on which specific carryover projects should be considered for inclusion in a potential future program, and some targets for council's consideration for the investment categories.
I'll second it for the sake of discussion. Any discussion on the motion that was made? Mr. Pryor.
To go back to what Councilman Wehrman was asking, I think 35 was a little bit too much, but I was telling Mr. Wehrman I will consider, 30%, because transportation, and transit, the way the government is cutting funding, they're putting more money toward roads and infrastructure. And so what we lose, that 5% would be made up on what we get from the federal government. So if we need to do it now, amend it, we need to wait, up to third reading, that's something I would be willing to talk about, because I think it is important, because once we send this down the road, if we don't have enough to sustain it, it's going to fail.
So, Mr. Pryor and Mr. Councilman Wehrman, I think I'm going to just close discussion just by this statement. Again, we are beginning a process. I think we're putting the cart a little before the horse, and I really wish, I said to Secretary Hall that I wish we just had like a blank and then percentage without putting any of these numbers there at this point, because it's giving us a false sense of a discussion to have until we send them out to go and listen to people, to see what people are saying out there in the world, in the county, because the general public may want more bike and pedestrian, and so we don't know what people are going to, and so let them, based on the motion that is on the table now, go out and do the work They're coming back in 90 days to present to us, some of the things that we just heard. And from that perspective, we will have the first quarter of next year to start finagling percentages once we know projects that have been presented by the municipality, including all of these categories. And so once we see what's actually on the table, we can start adjusting percentages. And certainly we know that transit is a big piece that will continue needing priority. And so I think that was heard tonight.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chairman. So, but are they going to go out with blank numbers, or are they going to go out with these numbers?
No, they're going out with blank numbers. So these numbers just gave us a starting place as it related to what happened over the performance of the last two. And so that's all she presented to us. Certainly, as we look at the categories, we do recognize that the county has done road projects well. And so we're selling the successes of what we have done in previous transportation sales tax in order to build confidence among the public to allow us to continue. We've done Greenbelt projects exceptionally well. And so it again becomes a selling point. Transit is an area that you're now raising as a point of discussion relative to something we need to invest more in so that whole system can be strengthened, particularly given the LCRT and the enhancements that will come on that rapid transit line. When looking at bike and pedestrian opportunities, we've never really given that as much priority as it needs. So at least it's a slice of the pie. And so I think if we allow them to go out, do the work that we're contemplating, they don't have arbitrary percentages that they're going out seeking to have people fill a slice. We need them to come back with information so that we can see that maybe in 2025, 2026, the appetite around Charleston County may be very different as it relates to a contemplated pie, even than what this looks like. This was just sliced up based on previous transportation sales tax and performance that we've done in the past. Secretary Hall.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Councilmember Werman, basically, the chairman is exactly right. The thought was really to frame the questions to the public and the stakeholders was more along the lines of, which of these areas, investment areas, would be your highest priority, first priority, second priority, third priority, fourth priority. Really trying to drive at the point that you're getting at, which is, well, we feel like more transit needs to be a higher priority than, say, one of the other slices, or vice versa. I mean, we're expecting a lot of input from a lot of different entities on their desired priorities, whether it's Greenbelt, transit, roadway, flooding, bike ped, safety, including, hopefully, some very specific examples of you really need to address this issue at this intersection, or these signals between this road and this other road on my commute to work are a real problem. We're actively looking for that information, hopefully, going forward.
Mr. Moody?
Thank you, Chairman Middleton. I appreciate your comments. I agree with much of what you said. We have done a lot of things very well. You wouldn't know it, though, because of the lies that were told about us last time. I don't support going back in 2026 yet. I don't for a number of reasons that I can expand upon at any time. But I want to thank Secretary Hall for being here. She is amazing. I've worked with her a number of years. I know Chernoff Newman's a great firm as well. We've got two firm and a great person leading this charge. But to stay consistent with my current position, I will not be supporting this. However, I just wanted that on record that you've got a good team out here leading the charge. Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Moody, just for the record, if we push this to 2028, so we have not made a decision as of today that we're even moving forward with a 26 referendum. These are potential contemplations. And so I think it's a good exercise to do. We met with the mayors of the big 3 municipalities today. Also gaining input, listening to them, receiving feedback. If then we go to 2028, it will be a brand new tax.
Correct.
And so we want to make certain that that's on the record as well, so that people recognize the difference between an extension of a tax and a brand-new tax. We're going to call for the vote at this time. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thank you so much. The ayes have it. Thank you, Secretary Hall and team, for your diligence and your hard work. At this time, we're ready to move to our Environmental Management Committee, where Mr. Moody is the chair.
Thank you, Chairman Middleton. We'll convene this environmental management meeting. Mrs. Honeycutt, is she in with us? She's not here tonight? Okay. Mr. Pryor, Mr. Werman, Chairman Middleton sits on all committees. First order of business is consideration of minutes from April 3rd.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Duly moved, seconded. Any changes, additions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Environmental update, Mr. Q.
Hello, everyone.
Before you get started, Mr. Q, we have a packet that, if you didn't know, we'll probably be referencing. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Q.
Yeah, I put a package in front of everyone just so you can look at it, make notes, whatever, rather than clicking. All right. Environmental management, fiscal year 24-25, fiscal year 25. It's divided into, different categories of it, the MRF collections, programs, landfill, and convenience sites. So there's a lot here. There could have been a lot more, but I just want to go through it. In your package, there is something we had to do for the popular annual financial report. I just get a kick out of that name. I don't know what's popular about it, but it's there, and that touches on a lot of things we've done, a lot of things we're proud of. We're still growing. So the MRF, I'll start real quick, and I will go through this quickly. The MRF has made the vendor, has suggested strongly, and they've obliged. CRS has added 2 additional mechanics. That keeps things running. Our uptime is much better than it was. It also, the MRF residue rate has reduced by just about 3%. It's about 805 tons, which stops us from having to load that many trucks and bringing them to the landfill at a cost to the county. So the MRF is moving along okay. The current vendor needs to get a general manager in there. We're working on it with them. Collections. Collections are the trucks, the roll-off trucks that go out to all our convenience sites, are manned and unmanned, and pick up the waste, pick up everything, actually. We have put new cab cameras in all of the trucks so we can actually watch our drivers while they're in there. We're in the process of it. It's already starting, where they're putting cameras alongside the truck so we can watch them driving on the highway. We can keep an eye on everybody. It's for their safety. It's for the community's safety, and that's in place. Actually, any truck that deals with the county should have cameras on. We also assigned an attendant to the DMV site. DMV site to educate and control recycling efforts. Okay, programs. Programs is part where we deal with the public. Christina Moscos and her team take care of educating, social media, all of that. We had formed a little group in her department that do nothing but keep Republic honest, quite honestly. We have a group that just goes out when there are complaints. We have a hotline that's on all day and taped at night. We send people out. Used to be them with no cameras on their trucks. We say, oh, we didn't. We know we got it. No, we didn't get it. Now we actually go out and just take a look. And we don't go for every individual one, but just so you know, in number of missed recycling pickups, and by missed, that means if they are missed, they have 48 hours by our contract with them to pick it up. So missed means they didn't pick it up within 3 days, which is terrible. Number of missed recycling pickups has decreased from 9,198 in fiscal year 24 to 7,500 fiscal year 25. And just to put this in perspective, in fiscal year 23, there were 12,500 missed picks. Population has increased, amount of traffic has increased, the clutter has increased, and we're going down. So we're doing our job, so it's getting there. Okay, Beach Ferry Landfill, a couple of big projects I guess I should address. Landfill gas to energy, which we're all very excited about. At last minute, there were some changes. We are no longer going to do landfill gas to gas. We're going to do landfill gas to electric. This is something that generates revenue. It's environmentally sound and smiled upon by environmental agencies. The gas line that was in our landfill was just so tempting. You know, you take the gas, scrub it, and send it. And people that are in charge of that are overloaded or whatever their reasoning was. But we're not going to go that way. I have permission to try one more time, but we're going to put out a request for landfill gas to electric. Quiet, nice, and it goes right to the grid. Pumps, goes right to the grid. Okay. As far as the two new cells, 3 and 6, we are past the engineering firm, a part of this, which is great. We will be moving into bringing a contractor on board, and we're going to just start. We're ready. We have found numerous things in cell 3, which is an ash pile. We are reclaiming it for solid waste, which adds years to the landfill. We have found that the product of asphalt or ash that was there is not calcified the way we thought it is. It's much easier to put into dirt and thicken and for an absorption for any kind of rain or on the roads. So we're very comfortable with what we have there. There was a big cost of where are we going with that. We're going to keep it. It's construction material. We can use it. So that was good news. I do want to say one other thing. Over the last year, I've had two landfill complaints. 2. All right, so they have been bumped down to number 3 on my list of things I need to worry about. Number 1 is now convenience sites and everybody hating me for making everybody show ID, which they'll get over. So, sorry, we have other plans. I'm only kidding. That would be just about everything that we're doing. We have cut back on all expenses. I think I have one from finance that said we are $3 million down year on year, even though we have done more, handled more waste. We're just doing it better. And we're going to get even better, but the team is kind of falling into place. And that's it for that part of this. Any questions, anybody?
Mr. Werman.
One question, but first some comments. First of all, just thank you, Mr. Cube, just for this presentation, but also for the work you've been doing. I think most folks on this council were here when the switch was made over on recycling, and you know, I realize it's a proxy for. I mean, a missed pick for a citizen is not 48 hours. They consider it to be a shorter time. But I think that is a proxy that we've seen improvement even on those. I can tell you certainly that anecdotally that the calls that I get and receive have gone down drastically, where it was a pretty frequent issue for a while. So I think the work y'all been doing, certainly in District 3, has shown some results. And I want to commend you for it and thank you for it. I will just pass along that one thing I have noticed, and it's not as frequent as the issues we were previously dealing with, but we'll occasionally get some reports of the trucks basically just making a mess of things when they come through, leaving bins all over the place, leaving stuff around. And I did want to ask if there's any way to deal with that sort of in a systemic level, because I mean, what I've done previously is I contact Ms. Moskos, and I think she gives them a talking to, and that's worked reasonably well. It doesn't tend to recur repetitively, but I just have noticed, you know, once or twice a year I'll get that call that this street or that street. It's not always the same spot, so I do think they do a pretty good job of it. But is there anything we can do on that front just to kind of impress on folks that we can't have trash in the middle of the street, much less bins in the middle of the street?
So what you're saying is the drivers and those trucks are actually causing litter?
We assume so. I mean, I don't think that. You know, they come through and the stuff's all over the place. The bins are broken, that sort of thing.
All right. So the initial contract we have with Republic, personally, just not a fan, but it was done. We needed to do something. I got here and we did some changes, and we're doing better with them. They have in their contract that they don't need any cameras. This is a great segue from what I said. They have no cameras on their trucks. So us saying any other vendor I've ever dealt with in the last 20 years that hauls, picks up, does anything for the county, for the company, they have cameras so we can look. They can say, no, we got all those. No, you didn't, and there's your camera. Republic does not have those. So we do go running out. I welcome when you hear somebody making a mess, just call us, because we only get called when people get missed. It's kind of very self-serving kind of deal. But I mean, who else do you have to worry about? It's your trash. So if in fact you get those calls, any of you get a call that, the place looks like garbage and it's not supposed to, we will follow up on that, okay? And we will start holding Republic accountable for a lot of it. We need to get out there. We don't know. Sounds like you're getting them. I'm not getting those. So maybe you just forward them to me.
No, I want to be clear. I not to you, but I've typically been sending them to Ms. Moskos, and she does. She does follow up on them. So I think that's if that's all we can do at this point, that's understandable. I remember the days when we did have cameras on the trucks, and I think if we can handle the situation, if we're handling it as reasonably as we can right now, if we can get to another day where we have cameras on trucks again, I think that would be a good goal long term that we can look forward to in the future. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Questions? Mr. Pryor.
Mr. Q, about 3 weeks ago, I got a text and then a phone call about some guy. He does, I think, hauling work for Republic, and he is concerned about, when it rains, which we know that when it rains, that it's kind of slick, and he is concerned about a safety hazard. But I told him normally when it's impassable, we shut the landfill down. But are we doing anything to make the entrance or the roads any better? So when we do have a bad rain, won't have to worry about having an accident or somebody slipping off. Are we doing anything for that?
We are, sir. It's actually in your little booklet. It talks about building new roads.
Okay.
We have built one on the main access road, which
Okay.
was the biggest point of contention, because getting started at the base of a hill with a full load in the mud, not easy.
Okay.
And now we actually, another picture of us, our team, something I should talk about. Our team took it upon themselves, we took it upon ourselves, and we replaced the base of one hill, changed all the pipes that were broken and cracked underneath that were 50 years old. And there was just flooding out the bottom where they're trying to get up that hill. So we took them out, we loaded it, we put brand new pipes in, we put rock and just solid products underneath that road, and they're getting up and down really well right now. So far, so good. This storm that's coming is, anything what they say it's going to be, there'll be issues. I mean, it is a mountain
I
built on
understand
dirt,
that, yes.
so, but we will keep them going.
Thank you so much.
And we'll keep working on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I wrote down a couple of comments. I wanted to thank Mr. Tootin and Mr. Thigpen, Mr. Q. I'm sure all this council notices over the last 2 years how quiet things have been in environmental management. When you've got a dedicated professional with his or her shoulder to the wheel, watching this thing every day, it's things that, no consultants, it's just quiet is good. I do like the driver's license implementation at the convenience centers. We cannot let out of county people be coming in and dumping stuff into our landfill, given the state of our landfill and the preservation steps you're taking to improve it. They don't like it, tough. So I support you on that 120%, and that's the way I feel about that. So anyway, anything else from Mr. Q or staff? Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll move on to 2B. I don't know that we need you on this one. This was Mr. Chairman Middleton, 2B.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moody. And again, thank you to all of council for at least helping us entertain this particular issue. So at our last Resilience and Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting, we were looking particularly at Charleston County Ordinance number 2085, single-use plastic bag ordinance, and it was amended from the Ordinance 2047, originally adopted March 21st, 2019. So the goal, as we're looking of this amendment, is to clarify the definition of reusable carry-out bag, to eliminate the use of thick plastic bags by food or grocery establishment, food providers, retailers, stores, shops, sellers, vendors, and other merchants used for carrying, transporting, or storing purchased goods or products in unincorporated areas of Charleston County. Somehow, there are all these donut holes that still exist, including as it relates to an ordinance like this. This is not only to reduce the negative environmental impacts due to the plastic pollution, but also it aims to provide uniform uniformity across the region. Multiple jurisdictions within Charleston County have already amended their single-use plastic bag ordinance, and so this amendment would mirror the changes made in the city of Charleston, city of Folly Beach, town of James Island, and town of Mount Pleasant. So I wanted to, so the proposed amendments are highlighted in the actual ordinance that was attached to the agenda for our consideration. So I wanted to at least kind of put this on the table so that we can discuss it, and I'm certainly willing to offer a motion when we get to that point.
Would you like to make that a motion?
I would like to make a motion that
Second.
You're not on the committee, sir.
I would like to make a
Easy, big fella.
I would like to make a motion that we amend the definition of reusable carryout bag to eliminate the use of thick plastic bags by food establishment, grocery establishment, food providers, retailers, stores, shops, sellers, vendors, and other merchants using the carrying, transporting, or storing purchased goods and/or products in the unincorporated areas
Thank
of
you,
Charleston
Chairman Middleton.
County.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Werman. Discussion, Mr. Pryor.
So the only place I see using these big, thick plastic bags is, I think, Walmart, and I don't see any place else. So wouldn't it be prudent for something to just go sit down and talk to Walmart and says, hey, look, we're asking you to do this first, because when you pass these ordinances, they may have a bunch of these bags and it's going to cost them a bunch of money, and we might want to give them a deadline and say, hey, look, you get rid of these bags within the next 90 days. If not, then we're going to, impose this ordinance. But I will tell you, these little thin bags, you put 4 or 5 items in it and walk out the store with it and try to get in the house, it goes right through. So if they don't double bag these stuff for you, you have a problem. But the only person that I know with these real thick bags are Walmart. Now, I haven't seen them nowhere else. And so if you're seeing them somewhere else, maybe we ought to get the word out, because sometimes too much government can be, overwhelming. And so, it may cost them less or it might cost them more, I don't know. But I would like for someone to have a discussion with them before we just unilaterally go and say, let's ban the thick bags, because I only see them in Walmart.
So we're the last holdouts. The other municipalities have already done this. There is a bag in between the thin little flimsy bag that you're talking about and the thick bag that's a little. Anyway, there's an in between bag, and so if we were to uniform the ordinance, we wouldn't have to go talk to anybody, because it would be the ordinance. They would have to comply at some point, if we then made it a date specific. And so the other municipalities have already done it, as we've been trying to fix all of these donut holes as it relates to firearms and every other thing. It really, becomes the next thing also for this.
As a follow-up, how many Walmarts do we
Hold
have?
on, let me get Mr. Werman first, and then we'll come back to you.
I didn't see your hand,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Well, yeah, I would just sort of to the points that you raised, Councilman Pryor. I mean, this is an ordinance change, so it's going to take 3 readings. So I think we've got some time to get the word out. I would suggest that any notification we'd be able to do with a sort of delayed implementation, we can probably kind of get the word out just as easily now if this thing passes through committees today. And I'll just say to some of those concerns, I mean, I see that this is mirroring City of Charleston, City of Folly Beach, Town of Mount Pleasant. I mean, I understand we don't want to over-regulate, but we do have these goals in terms of our sustainability committee and the plan that we passed. And, I think that retailers are doing just fine in City of Charleston, Town of Mount Pleasant, Town of James Island, City of Folly Beach. So, the fact there's a proof of concept out there, the fact that this, complies again with sort of our sort of long-stated goals, and I do think that the notice can be basically given from today. This thing is going to take maybe not 90 days, but 45 days, I'd guess, to get passed. I'm comfortable moving forward, and I think that some of those concerns can be addressed that way.
Well, I'm just going to say they're the bane of my existence. If you've spent the time I have of pulling them out of the marsh, the river, on the sides of the roads, they don't biodegrade at all. The only thing they do is there forever. At least the single-use ones would finally, after the sunlight baked them enough, they'd kind of go away. There's nothing wrong with the paper bag. Most of the grocery stores and Walmart, my Walmart, West Ashley, they use paper bags, and they're built solid. They got solid handles on them. You can't overload them with a bunch of cans. I mean, but that's why they have the double bag concept. You know, it's not real hard. They're renewable, biodegradable, not a threat to the environment, and they also support our timber industry. You know, it's a win all the way around. You know, so for me, I've been waiting for them to be gone, and so I'm more than happy to support you, Mr. Chairman, on this. It's a good thing. I mean, it's an environmental hazard to our marine life and everything else. And it's an eyesore to look at it, and it's a pain in the rear to clean it up. And so I can't wait till they're gone. But I'm fine, Mr. Pryor, if you want to have a little bit of a delay in the implementation. I'm sensitive to that. I will tell you, in my area, most everybody's gone to paper bags. So I don't know, maybe up in North Charleston it's more prevalent.
Any more questions or comments? Mr. Pryor?
Yes, and how are we going to enforce this? Are we going to have people going around looking in these stores, making sure they abide by this? How are we going to enforce this? Because we can tell it, we can pass an ordinance, but if we don't have people going, some type of code enforcement officer or somebody, business license person going around to check, then you defeat the purpose. So can anyone explain how we're going to enforce this?
How do we enforce anything else?
Well, we enforce it by officers, but do we have an officer for bags? That's the way
Ma'am, can you go to the
code enforcement
microphone?
are going to do this.
You don't need somebody doing it 24/7.
No, you don't need it 24/7, but I mean, when it comes into compliance, are we going to make sure they're all in compliance?
Sure. Yeah. Good evening, council members. I'm Molly Cajano. I'm the Resilience and Sustainability Manager. Great question. So we do not have an enforcement mechanism really in place right now that would, lead to fines for violations. The only way that the county would know that there's a violation is if there's a phone call to the county. And then that, as far as I know from talking with Ms. Moskos, that's just a conversation, like you were saying, Mr. Pryor, with that business owner to say, hey, we've got this call, let's work through this. That's the extent of the enforcement. But the current ordinance also allows for an exemption to this ordinance. So if a business can demonstrate that they are, suffering a hardship, that they cannot move away from plastic bags, or maybe they have a large stock that they want to get through, they can request a hardship and be exempt from this ordinance. So that's already in place in the current, or for 90 days.
That's a good answer to the question. And, working with these with these merchants to let them know. And don't mind passing the ordinance, but I think we ought to let the people know what we're planning on doing and then have a targeted date after third reading to make sure. But we still should, have somebody to maybe just ride along, maybe code enforcement, and go look and see if they still using these bags. Because if we don't check, what's the initiative to get rid of them? Thank you.
Thank you.
Then Mr. Middleton.
I guess I'm confused here. I understand the potential hardship where you bought a lot of these bags, you need to expend them because you've got an investment in it. But I don't see the argument between heavy plastic bags and paper bags. I mean, it shouldn't go on indefinitely. I mean, I think there's got to be the end of this. If you get one of those exemptions, there needs to be an end to it. It can't be indefinite. I mean, what's the purpose of the ordinance?
So on page 5 of the ordinance, section 6, enforcement and penalties, the Charleston County Sheriff's Office has the responsibility for enforcement of this ordinance. Secondary responsibility shall belong to any enforcement officer or official of the county. Section B, any business establishment that violates or fails to comply with any of the provisions of this ordinance or after a written warning notice has been issued for that violation shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor. The penalty shall not exceed $100 for the first violation, $200 for the second violation within any 12-month period, and $500 for each additional violation within any 12-month period. Each day that violation continues will constitute a separate offense. In addition to the penalties set forth in this section, repeated violations of this ordinance by a person who owns, manages, operates, is a business agent of, or otherwise controls the business establishment may result in the suspension or revocation of the business license issued to the business establishment for the premises on which the violations occur. The county will not issue or renew a business license until all outstanding fines against the business establishment for violations of this article are paid in full. And then lastly, violation of this article is declared to be a public nuisance, which may be abated by the county by restraining order, preliminary or permanent injunction, or other means provided by law, and the county may take action to recover costs of the nuisance abatement. So that's also embedded in the ordinance.
Mr. Chairman, question, Mr. Tootin, does the city, I didn't think the city of North Charleston had this bag ordinance. Do you know if they have a bag ordinance or any?
They do. The city of North Charleston does. So the city of North Charleston, Folly Beach, the city of North Charleston does not. Does not.
No, I said that, hold, hey, I asked for the city of North Charleston. So the city of North, so the big three so we got Charleston, Mount Pleasant, James Island, Folly Beach.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? And I thank you for reading that, Mr. Middleton. I don't think I supported this the first time because of the heavy-handedness of this. I frankly would like to see North Charleston. I agree with you 100%, Mr. Middleton, that things like that gun ordinance and other things that we do are plug-ins when the big three have got something done. I'd like to see North Charleston get this done first, and then we come in and plug around them. I agree with Mr. Pryor. I think the Walmart's I think we're going to be hitting small businesses, and I think it's going to add expenses to them, and I think the penalties are pretty draconian, to be frank with you. But that's just one of five. So, Mr. Pryor, do you have any other comments? Or?
Yeah, I just, with Walmart being in Charleston, are we working with the city to see if they would be willing to enforce this? Because, I mean, it would make it more stronger if the city of North Charleston comes in, but you don't want to have a Walmart West Ashley without the bags, and then North Charleston has the same bag. So maybe we need to sit down and talk with the new mayor, because the former mayor didn't want to do it. So can we somehow maybe go and just delay this until we talk to the city of North Charleston and see if they are formidable with doing this? And if they are, then we bring this back up and then pass it?
So we would is that?
Mr. Middleton, I'm sorry.
We would have up to third reading, so certainly we would have time to do that in the process if carried forward. There would be time, for all of those, processes to take place. This is not going to happen overnight.
You got to have a public hearing, too.
Right, even as it relates to the county process itself.
Would you be willing to sit down and
Yeah,
talk to the mayor?
absolutely. Yes, sir.
I will move this along on first reading.
Yes, sir.
And would write them in, the third reading. Yeah. And if it comes back in the city of North Charleston is not going to do it, then it might sway my decision to say until they do it, I'm not going to do it, because it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. Because they got stores in Somerville, but that's Berkeley County and Dorchester County.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments before we vote? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3. Against? Aye. 3-1. 1 abstain. 1 absent. That concludes, Mr. Middleton.
Thank you so much. All right. We now move to our Administrative Policy and Rules Committee, where Mr. Pryor is the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Darby sits on this committee. Ms. Honeycutt sits on this committee. Both of them are absent. Mr. Sass and the chairman, so we got a quorum. Okay. So first order of business is approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any deletion or additions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Item number 2, public comments policy discussion only for this right now, because a couple of council members were interested in seeing what can we do to get more people to speak at our county council meetings and doing public comments instead of having maybe one group monopolize the whole thing by signing up. And I had suggested that maybe, we says, hey, the first 15 minutes, if we got 30 people sign up for one big thing, give them the first 15 minutes. And then the second 15 minutes is for those who want to comment on what's going on the agenda or something else, before council. Because we don't want somebody to drive up and get and speak, because people know how to play the game. If they know you got to be at 6 o'clock, they're going to be at 5:30 with the first 15 people. And so we have to do something to make sure it's a fair process. And so that's why I was willing to bring this up, for discussion. Of course, we won't take no action, but, we can discuss it and then see what the majority wants to do. Reverend Middleton?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman of this committee.
Yes,
I think our clerk may have some information that she may have gathered from other municipalities, local governments, and entities that have public comment periods. I've seen in other entities that I'm a part of, like school boards, et cetera, that if 100 people sign up, then they divide the period of time during that public comment. So initially, it's 2 or 3 minutes, but if you have 30 people signed up, then that's divided by those 30. So everybody still gets an opportunity to speak. You may have 30 seconds to speak as opposed to 3 minutes to speak, but everybody still gets an opportunity to address some portion of whatever that public comment would have been. There are some nights where it's lighter, some nights where it's heavier. Certainly, we want our public to be robustly engaged in addressing council, and that's their public right, and they should be able to do that. And it is also discouraging when you've come, and some people coming from McClellanville and Kiowa and other places where it's difficult to get here, and then finally you come to sign up and you can't even get on the list, or you did sign up and then based on the cutoff, you just got cut off. And so, again, maybe there's a kind of pro rata, sort of depending on the number, we then divide if we are allotting 30 minutes or 45 minutes for public comments, and then we divide it among those people, who've signed up.
Okay, and Mr. Gabrowski?
Well, I want to thank you for bringing this up. I mean, the elephant in the room is, our job is to discuss infrastructure, roads, taxes. We're not a Middle Eastern debating society. We're not, and I think we've been hijacked to some extent. I mean, I believe in free speech, and for the last probably year now, most of our discussion has been about things that we have no control or no involvement with. I mean, I believe in free speech, even things I hate to listen to. They have a right to speak. They're members of the public. But at some point, I think we let things go too far and escalate to what happened at our last meeting, where people feel ennobled or encouraged. And even, we need stricter standards when somebody gets up and talks about death to certain groups of people and uses F-bombs all the time. I mean, we've kind of enabled people to get out of control, in my opinion. Again, our job is about Charleston County. It's not about things that people have issues with in other parts of the world. And I think we've been hijacked to some extent by that. And I like to hear proposals so that we don't, we had the vote in Elbit. We voted on it. And there's no point anymore of them. They talk about that, but they also then go on to their views about what countries should exist, what groups of people should be ended. It has nothing to do with us. And I think that it takes away from our focus on, as the chairman said, about people that come long distances that have things and things before us that need to be heard. So I'm open for suggestions, because I think that it needs to be changed. And I'd like a greater appreciation of the fact that some of us have to get police escorts afterwards because of perceived violence by some people, and use the same expressions that have been used nationally in bullets about things, whether it's death to Israel or death to the IRF or free Palestine. We see the same thing on bullets used in recent killings. We hear the same things here. So I think I'd like to damp things down and concentrate on issues that we can work on that involve local issues and not international issues. I think monopolizes the time from others and is not productive of anything we have before us. So I'm open for suggestions of how to do that. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, listen, I think, well, to follow up on all the comments, I think we're kind of talking about two things here. I think some of Mr. Gabrowski's concerns can be addressed. We do have a decorum policy here. Mm-hmm. So I think some of that, can be, is sort of on the books, and maybe we can try and highlight that a little bit more when people come in. And, I think I was talking with Mr. Boykin, who suggested, I think, a good idea that maybe, we need to kind of say that up at the front or something like that, just to sort of set expectations. So I think that can take care of some of it. I do think that we probably need some sort of either understanding or rules change. We do have to get creative when it comes to this issue that I also recognize that, like, if 15 people are signed up to talk about the same thing and, your property has a zoning issue that you're coming across the county to do, got a job, that you got to work until 5. You know, I mean, it's unfair to folks who are put in that situation. I understand that, and I think we do need to find a way to have the discretion. I'm open to the pro rata suggestion that Councilman Middleton, Chairman Middleton suggested, where, you know, if you've got 20 people signed up, you can pro rata sort of reduce that. You know, I mean, I think if you have enough people, then that could get absurd if you're being limited to 5 or 10 seconds. But I also think we just have to use a little bit of common sense that how often is it going to happen that 90 people sign? You know, that's pretty infrequent. So if we cross that bridge, we can cross that bridge maybe when we get to it. But I'm open to the pro rata suggestion. I'd be open that if we see 15 people signed up and there's a couple people who got in that have something specifically on the agenda, I'd be open to extending it for those people in the chairman's discretion. I'm open to ideas too, is I guess what I would say on that particular issue.
Okay, Mr. Boykin?
You know, maybe one way of approaching this is, you know, obviously we can see what the topics are they're going to talk about. Our clerk can go through it. I think if you've got whatever this number turns out to be, we're affording 30 minutes ordinarily for public comment. I think if there's more than whatever a particular number is, all signed up for the same issue, do let them all speak, but maybe cut their time in half. Maybe they get 1 minute instead of 2 minutes, so they still get a chance to address. They're coming for individual issues, they can have their normal 2 minutes because there's not 10, 12 of them or whatever. It's some formula that way, perhaps.
Okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Is there a statute? Is it our own rule that we allow 30 minutes for public comments?
Yes, sir. It's our own rule.
Yeah. What is to say that we can't extend the public comment period to 45 minutes, or if needed, an hour? You know, specifically if we have more people who have come. It is appropriate for the public to be able to address us. I mean, we are paid by the public, a stipend, whatever the case is. And so, I know sometimes we want meetings to go by fast, but the public deserves to address its council. And so if we have arbitrarily set 30 minutes, then we can extend the 30 minutes to 45 or an hour or 2 hours for the public to appropriately address council. I'm just saying, I mean, if it's our own rule.
Yeah, but I don't think, even if you extend it to 45, if you get 15 more people to sign up for the same thing,
right,
you still dominate. So I think it has to be some type of mechanism, and that's why, like, if you got 15 people signed up for one particular item, the first 15 minutes will be divided by those 15 people, okay? And then the second 15 minutes will be left to anybody else that has a comment or something on the agenda, or they just want to address you and say, hey, you're doing a good job, or you're doing a bad job. They have a right to do that. Mm-hmm. So I think, let's try that, and if that doesn't work, then we try something else. But, sitting here for an hour or 2 hours, it's going to be the same people. They'll just bring in 100 people versus, 10 people. So I would, when we bring, I'm going to get to you, Salisbury. When we bring this up, I would suggest, and at the chairman's discretion, if somebody is on the list and it's important and you says, hey, we're going to give one person 1 more minute or 2 more minutes, sometimes you can do that. But it has to be decorum. It has to be no clapping and no standing up and yelling when somebody speaks, because all that takes time before the next person gets up. And, no profanity. We have those in place already, and you just have to enforce that and say, hey, look, you make this kind of, we're going to have you escorted out because we're not going to have that. We got women and children in here. You're not going to be cursing. I mean, I know people's emotions are high, but it's got to be a place for decorum when you're inside a governmental business, not a building. Not only that, it's just disingenuous. We don't respond back, which is great, because it only makes it longer. They can call you all kind of names. That's fine, but it's got to be decorum. And it's got to be, if somebody says something that's unethical, and personal, it has to stop. I think I saw Mr. Moody's.
Have anything to add? She's let's have her talking. I'd like to make a few comments. Thank you, Ms. Pryor.
I did poll my counterparts in other counties, and of those who responded and who do public comments, because many do not do public comments, most of them follow our example, 2 minutes per person. 30-minute time period. Some of them have separate time period, separate speaking periods where there's a certain time set aside for items that are on the agenda and a certain amount of time that's set aside for items that are not on the agenda. And then some councils had a limited amount of time on each topic. So where they have a 30-minute speaking period, if you've got 2 or 3, very popular items, they only allow 10 minutes per topic. So that would limit it to maybe 5 speakers on that individual topic. And then the rest of the time would be for things that aren't in that, that topic, aren't covered by that topic.
And Mr. Booty, I had one to follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Pryor. Great discussion. I appreciate it. I had called Mr. Pryor a few weeks ago about this, and it seems like all my issues I got coming on your committee, so I appreciate you accommodating me. A couple of things. I think the conversation's been great. I unfortunately missed the last council meeting when that individual swore. I don't know that we need to read the rules. The rules are on the bottom of the sheet when people sign in. If it were me, Chairman Middleton, that gentleman has forfeited his right to appear before this council forever.
Yeah,
he swore. He broke every rule of decorum we've got, rallied up people. I think if it were me, I wouldn't let him be in here anymore. That's just me. That's your call, though. You're the chairman.
No, we've already, I imagine, already taken care of that part because that person would be disinvited.
The other thing I would point to, Mr. Kabrowski brought up Elbit. This has nothing to do with Elbit. That's not the reason I brought it up. I mean, that gives them more credit than I think they're worth. This has everything to do with any group. Every group knows how to play the rule we got out there. I mean, it could be, pro-chamber, pro-realtors, pro-zoning, pro-526, anti-526. It doesn't matter. Pick your plot. Everybody knows if they get here at 5:45 and they get the first 15 spots, everybody else gets shut out. I love the idea of doing something, and I think, Mr. Chairman, this is going to be on you to look at the list. People write down what they're here to talk about. If you've got, let Carter keep 25, let 25 people sign up if you want. Don't just limit it. And you look at there and there's 20 people to speak on pro half-cent sales tax. You say, all right, you got 10 minutes, pick your best 5 and give it your best shot. And then you get, everybody else that has other topics to speak of gets the balance of it. That would be what I would do. And that would, and Mr. Worman made a great point. I mean, I think Chairman Middleton, you did too. I mean, people come from Edisto and McClellanville and all over the place to make these comments. So they got to come racing down here at 5:30 to beat the advocacy groups. And they wait in line until 6 o'clock. They sign up, and then they wait again until 6:30. Now, I'm not suggesting you show up here at 6:28 and you're going to get a shot. That's on you if you don't. But they shouldn't have to get here an hour early, a regular constituent who has an issue on the agenda that wants to speak to us, to get blocked out by pick your topic. Thank you, Mr. Pryor.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
We do have 2 other former chairpersons who are to my left, Mr. Sass and Mr. Pryor, who both chaired county council with distinction. I don't ever get the list, and so I would like for us to understand the fact, and maybe y'all got the list. And so normally, as it relates to public comments, even public hearings, I have no clue at all myself. I hear the number, it said 15 people, and then I make and so I know, per person, how far or how deep we've gotten into that discussion. But maybe, if you're suggesting that I get the list and then from the chairman's, seat, calling people and discerning, but I don't have the list. I find out when you find out, when individuals get up. And if you all had more advance notice than I did, because I seem like since I've been the chair, a lot of things are brand new. And so I have to always defer to make certain that your experiences were similar. And so, it's helpful to say that I should, but I don't ever get the list before time.
I think he was proposing
Good point. Good clarification. I'm sorry, Pat. Yeah.
Given the list and either the clerk goes over the list and then says, Mr. Chairman, here's what we got. We're going to divide it like this. Mr. Sass?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Pryor. One of the things that I've kind of bugged me sometimes is that people come make a bunch of comments and then they leave. And as soon as they leave, then we discuss what they came to comment about. I mean, that happens all the time. I mean, a huge crowd of people walks out, and then we're discussing what they were talking about, but they weren't here to hear it. So is there any way that when we've got a big crowd here and we know they're here for an issue, I think you moved something up the other day to do that, to address it so that people wouldn't leave. But I mean, especially a lot of people come from McClellanville or from Phillips community or where they're coming from. It's an issue that they have, and I'd like them to be able to hear the conversation that we have, just not, besides just their comments. And I don't know if there's any way to incorporate that, but that's what we're kind of trying to figure this out tonight. So maybe there's some way to kind of tweak this.
We can talk about that when this comes back, when everybody can weigh in. But one thing, I don't know, maybe you might have been here, but Ms. Salisbury remember, we used to do public comments after the meeting. Mm-hmm. And then in Foresight, we met, and I said, hey, look, people come here, and we've already voted on something, so there's no need in them talking. And so that's why we moved public comments up before the meeting, and then 30 minutes. But when I first got here, public comments was after the meeting. Okay, and when I became chair, we started talking about some of these things, and I thought it was disingenuous for somebody to sit there and then they can only talk to us after we voted. Well, you can't change my mind if I already voted. So that's why we moved it up to before the meeting, and then we took it down from an hour to 30 minutes. Okay, so we don't want to muzzle anybody because we could have just said leave it the way it was, and they comments wouldn't make no difference because the vote would have already been taken. I see Mr. Boykin, and then I'm going to go to Mr. Grabowski, and I'll come back to you, and then we're going to move on.
No, Mr. Ware.
Had his hand up. I'm behind him. Okay, tap me on my shoulder, man. Go ahead, Mr. Boykin. And then I'm going to go to Mr. Ware.
Maybe a compromise here is keep the public comments at the beginning of the meeting just for that very point, that their voices are heard before we take action on it. But maybe we move the public hearings to the end of the meetings. We take no action on those.
But, yeah.
I'm just saying, do the business in between.
We can talk about it when it comes back. Mr. Werman.
Well, I was just going to ask a question. I mean, how do we move forward? I would suggest that Chairman, if you want to accept this, but I would suggest maybe, do we need to change anything to give you the discretion to start trying out some of this stuff, or do you have that discretion right now?
Yeah, I think I'm going to start trying out some of this stuff because just based on the conversations that we've been having, particularly when something is a safety concern, then certainly there are some other tools that I have relative to that, which we discussed and I'm able to do. And so that part I will do immediately and without delay. Some of these things it's good to hear. You don't grow up being chairman. I mean, you become and then you learn. And some of these things are adaptable. And we've seen nobody's enabling individuals who are getting up as it relates to public comments. I've been respectful. There are things I don't want to necessarily hear myself, but individuals have the right to speak. And so I can't just gavel them down because they're saying something I don't like. And so I've been, attentive and respectful and listened as long as they complied with the civility and the decorum of council. So I think by hearing some of this we will automatically just institute and do. I may, although it's printed, still iterate and read, just maybe a time or two. This is what we expect, just as a, general reminder. And so I might do that. And so we have disinvited individuals, because we have their address, their phone number, et cetera. If you drop the F-bomb or whatever, and some of them, they do it at the last word that they say. So it's not like they did it ahead of time, where we were able to stop them, anything that came after that. And then certainly I would never support, individuals who are disparaging entire groups of people right in our midst. I mean, that was absurd. None of us would have anticipated that. And so some of these things I think we can incorporate. One thing I wanted to ask Ms. Salisbury, so for local governments that don't have public comments, how are citizens heard?
Email.
I mean, yeah,
emails.
They meet them on the street. I don't know.
Okay, I'm just saying. I mean, how do they get away with it?
Right, they just don't have the opportunity. Of course, they have public hearings,
Yes.
and so they allow comments for those public hearings that they have on the record that night.
Wow.
But otherwise, they
Yeah,
don't.
I was just shocked to hear that.
I think, and so before I go to Mr. Grabowski, it might be in our best interest is the chairman has heard some of us and some of our, concerns. And so I think getting the list, like Mr. Moody says, is important. So, why don't we try some of this, and then if it doesn't work, we can come back and make a rule change.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would suggest. Let's give it a try, because you change the rule today, and then somebody comes and does something, and you got to change it tomorrow. So I think at the discretion, the chairman has the ability, because he is in charge of the chamber once the meeting is started. And so if that doesn't work out, in a couple of meetings, then we'll come back and make some changes. Is that pretty formidable with everybody?
Got to do something.
Okay, we will try that. So, Mr. Chairman, that's one more on your plate.
Certainly, not a problem.
Mr. Krabowski.
Councilman Pryor, I think I would be in favor of giving the chairman more discretion, but to your point that you were saying, is there any appetite I believe in free expression, whether you like hearing it or not, but is there any appetite for kind of limited the issues in front of us and giving the chairman people can love us or hate us and comment about anything has to do with what we do, but to give, a platform, because you mentioned they leave. Well, a lot of them could care less about what we do. It's here to political theater to give statements about foreign policy or their views of wars in other places that have nothing to do with us. Is there any appetite for giving people complete freedom to talk about anything we do, but somehow keeping it on our job is local issues, what we have control over, and it not to be taken over for political theater for things that we have no control over, and that happens every time.
I don't want to limit anybody's speech. Okay, I mean, we don't want to limit anybody's speech. If he or her wants to come up and talk about something that's going on in the world, I mean, I'm not going to stop somebody from saying that.
We only get control for discussion.
We only get control what we can vote on. But I've seen people come in there before and talk about things the president is doing, and I just sit there and says, okay, well, I listen, but you're talking to the wrong person. Go up to Washington D.C. But so I don't want to limit anybody's freedom of speech. As long as they're respectable, I'll listen. And I think the rest of the council feels the same way. Talk to Moody.
I agree, Mr. Pryor, 100%. You got Anthony G. Bryant to contend with if you start tinkering around with things like that. But I think what we're trying to do is just build a contraption where those that are advocacy groups, whatever they're advocating for, I don't care who it is,
I'm gonna call you out.
They can't wipe out John Q. Public who wants to speak here. Now, one thing you mentioned, Ms. Salisbury mentioned, I'll bring up, Chairman, that we need to watch is that public hearings, they have to stay on point.
Right.
So if you start doing something, they go, well, I'll slip around and go here in this public hearing and get in my comments.
Right.
You got to put a stop to it. So, I mean, that's something you got to watch for, too.
And they can only talk about what the public comment is about. No doubt. Okay, so we're going to move.
Thank you, Mr. Pryor.
And thanks everybody for the input. So now let's go to item 2B, which is proposed new rule requiring use of county provided email for conducting county business. And I thought that everybody was using it when it comes to county business, but if you aren't, you won't be able to receive emails because there's a reason why this thing has to be done on county email, and one is for FOIA reason. That's we don't want anybody to think you're hiding anything. And then one is we can control what goes on the server and what comes out and stop viruses. And so this is why this was put on there, to have every council member, if you're going to receive an email, it has to be on the county server, and they'll provide you with a phone, or you can bring your phone in and they can just download it onto your phone, and you can have the county emails on your phone if you don't want to have two phones, whether it's him or her. But I think this is what we're here to talk about tonight. Obviously, we won't take any action until this comes back up, but that's what we're here for. Chairman?
Mr. Pryor, I would like to move that.
Well, we can't make a motion in this one. We have to wait till it comes back up.
Why can't we can't make a motion?
No. This is just for discussion, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In the rules of council, to amend a rule, you have to have it in writing one time, you discuss it, and then
And we
it
bring
comes
it back
back the
up.
next time.
You
and then
know,
you can make
I
a
would think
motion.
that
You can say what you want to say.
Again, just use the county email.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that everybody was doing that.
I thought so,
And so
too.
please just use the county email. This should not even be a discussion, shouldn't be a rule that we need to amend. We should just automatically do it. And I think that, especially if we have new council persons coming on, next year, maybe, or 2027, that in the onboarding, we don't even receive their personal emails. We wait until they are in the county system to start
Right.
receiving the information, because if you start them out that way, then there would be no,
It becomes a habit.
yeah.
Okay, and I don't disagree with you, and everything is tracked, when it comes to county business. Now, if you want to talk your own business, you can use whatever device you want, but everybody would be provided with one of these iPads here too.
Yeah.
If you wanted one. Those things are heavy. I hope we get some lighter ones. Okay, I hope we get an up-to-date small one where it won't be so heavy. Okay? I barely use mine because it's too heavy. But I use the phone. But I do use the county email address. Let me make that
But
perfectly
it
clear.
was a discussion at the South Carolina Association of Counties, and so, we just need to be.
Well, we need to enforce it, and so, Mr. Administrator, so you and your staff, don't send any emails if it's not, to a council member that's not on the county web. Okay, so, that's, I think you need to understand that, but we'll come back if we need to enforce it, but I thought everybody was on the county web. But then when I found out, that's when I said, well, we need to discuss it to make sure everybody learn at the same time. You have to be on the county web, so, when y'all send out emails, staff, if they don't have a county email address, just send it to all those who have a county email address. Okay? And if they don't get it, they can talk about it when they come to council meeting. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so we're gonna,
May I ask, so when does this come up again?
At the next set of committees.
October 9th?
October
Okay,
9th.
thank
yes,
you
we
so
sir.
shouldn't
much.
have to amend the rule to do it, but
I
but
think we should
will.
still need to
Yeah, I
amend it
should-
just
yeah.
for future, so it's
Yes,
in
sir.
there and we don't have arbitrary, it's
No
not
doubt.
arbitrary.
No doubt. Okay, that concludes our rules and policies, so we're gonna move right into Public Safety Committee agenda, where we have two items on the agenda, Mr. Boykin, Mr. Darby, Ms. Honeycutt, who are not here again, and the chairman and myself, sits on this committee. Item number 1, approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, deletion, or additions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Item number 2, Chapter 7, Emergency Preparedness Amendments. Request to consider. What is the pleasure?
Approved.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. And let me say to our emergency preparedness staff, with all these things that's going on now, I know y'all are busy, but we appreciate all y'all are doing to keep the public informed and prepared in case something comes down to it. So thank you and your team. And where's the new guy? Is he here today?
He's right there.
All right, so he brought this on us, okay? We were doing good until he came, now he brought a storm on us, huh? No, just kidding, but thank y'all for all y'all do. I think the public needs to know. And Chloe, thank you for putting everything on, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, TikTok. I don't use all that stuff because I don't know nothing about that.
Mr. Pryor,
Probably because iPads.
can we get a storm update?
Yeah, anybody, can you give us a storm? I don't want to put you on the spot, Mr. Sass, ask about a storm update.
Storms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, hi. So, yes, we have some activity brewing in the Atlantic. Bottom line up front, there are 2 disturbances that we've been tracking for the past 24 hours. One of those disturbances just yesterday formed an actual Hurricane Umberto, and that hurricane is not a factor, not a threat to the state of South Carolina, including Charleston. That's going to head east out into the Atlantic, not a problem.
Okay.
The one that has our attention right now is still a disturbance, which means it's not a tropical storm and it's not yet a hurricane. The National Weather Service is assessing that there is a 90% likelihood that this disturbance will form into some tropical storm or potentially even a hurricane in the next 7 days. Why we're watching this, because some of those early initial tracks have it coming to or close to the coast. There's other tracks that also have this also following east out into the Atlantic. So the bottom line up front right now is that we do not know. What makes this one kind of interesting is how close it is right now as it starts to form. Currently, it's right over the Dominican Republic, Once it crosses those islands, it's going to get to some really warm water, and we do anticipate that that's going to intensify that storm. Where it goes from there is still unknown. We in the Department of Emergency Management, we plan for the worst case scenarios. So the entire day today, we've been going through our checks, putting our emergency operation teams on standby, working with the American Red Cross, just in the happenstance that we have to open up a shelter. And we've started, Public Works has already started to support sandbag operations. We have a number of coordination calls that we've been participating in, including with the state. We have a call with our new VOAD group that Molly's been, oh, she's left. All right, well, with our new VOAD group tomorrow. So we're doing everything we can just in case this goes bad, that we're prepared to respond. And I'll take questions if you have any.
Thank you for the update. We really appreciate it. Okay. All right, so we're going to move into our Planning and Public Works Committee. All members of council gets to participate. Item number 1, approval of the minutes of September 11th.
Second.
Move and second. Any discussion, addition, or deletions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item 2, request to approve is, let's see, Highway 165 rezoning 2A. What is the pleasure? Move to disapprove? Okay. Any discussion, or there's a second? Is there a second?
For discussion, yeah.
All right, there's a second. Any discussion? Who wants to discuss? Mr. Moody?
That is Mr. Boykin.
This is the property on 165 that had reached its subdivision limits and was trying to be rezoned so it might be further subdivided.
Can/Road, right?
No. Highway 165 in Ravenel.
Okay,
So it was not consistent with our comp plan and our Zelders.
okay. All right. All in favor signify by, of disapproval signify by saying
To
aye?
be in favor is what you're saying, to disapprove it, am I
Mr.
correct?
Brantley wanted to know, it was voted down by the Planning Commission and also recommended for disapproval by staff.
So this motion is for disapproval?
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye? Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. All right. Item 2B is 4301 River Road rezoning. What is the pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moving seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, item number 3, Councilman Kabrowski had called and asked about extending the moratorium that we have on these settlement communities. Now, I think we only got, what, 3 of them or 4 of them? I think we got Beefield, what's the other one? 10 Mile, and is it one more? Hamlin. But also, so those are the only 3.
Phillips.
So it's 4 the communities, and that moratorium is going to end at the end of 26, if I'm not correct, right? Somewhere in 26, Joe? June of 26, I believe, sir. June of 26. So I think Mr. Gabrowski is asking for a 12 months extension, but I'll let you speak for yourself.
I'd like to make a motion for an extension as long as possible, whatever the consensus is. I would prefer it longer, but if the consensus would be for a year, I'd be for that. I think the pressures have only increased since we've done this, and I also want to see if we can direct the staff to study how to build more historic settlement communities. The reason I bring this up now is from information I received last week that, with the sale of the steel mill in Georgetown, that the goal of developers there is to create another Bluffton or Hilton Head in that area. It's some of the most pristine and most beautiful land anywhere in the country or world, and the commercial developers are looking at that. And this, in my opinion, and I've only been on here for 3 years, sitting there, I always saw, well, how do things happen? You can't believe that this development is taking place. Developers think years, decades ahead. And if we're going to have a control and keep what we love about here, we have to do the same. And here's a chance, because if they turn that in, it's Georgetown County, but they can't go north. It's already been developed, and they're going to come south. And it's only 20 miles from there to McClellanville, and I'm convinced if you go to South Santee, there's no real difference between a historical settlement community there and 10 Mile and other places. And I like the staff to go there and see if there's a sentiment there to do similar historic settlement community. If we don't do this now, 5 or 10 or 15 years, those communities will not exist. And having lived here for, getting close to 50 years, nobody could ever imagine that the development would come up to 10 Mile and Phillips. Well, it has. And you used to think Sneak Farm was the outer limits of Mount Pleasant. And it's very easy to see how if they develop Georgetown like it's said to be developed, or they want to, that'll come right down to Allendale, right down, it'll come south from Georgetown, just like in Charlotte, all that development in South Carolina and York. So this is an opportunity for us to anticipate, do the right thing, preserve people's lives who won't be forced out of their homes from development and rising cost of living. Also, not to create a nightmare transportation-wise. We heard about the potential future transportation sales tax program. Well, one way is to anticipate, overdevelopment and not let it happen, and not let happen here what happened to Highway 17 South. And there's no reason that won't happen there other than the national forest. If we don't take steps now, when that development comes south from Georgetown, it'll be just like 17 South, and we have an opportunity to think ahead and to prevent that and preserve some of the most special, pristine, and unique places in America. And that's my point tonight, to see if the staff can reach out to the unincorporated areas in McClellanville, specifically South Santee, to open that discussion and increase the moratoriums where we have it. If we don't do it now, we'll lose these places. So that's why I wanted to bring it.
All right. Before I get to Mr. Boykin, in the 10 Mile community, I think they'll be coming back to us at our maybe next meeting or the meeting after with the overlay district. Mm-hmm. And so I think what we have done when we put the 2 years on, it slowed it down to where they can get to where they need to be. And I think if other communities follow suit, it would make it a whole lot easier. But, like I said, if it takes extending it for another year, I think that would be fine to allow these people to do the same thing that the 10 Mile community did. Mr. Boykin.
I just want to make a point of clarification. I mean, the agenda item says amendments building moratoriums. What we did was a moratorium against major subdivisions. That's
right.
what I supported, and I supported it to allow the community time to get and staff time to get the work done to get that overlay district we were talking about. Right. So I'm for it if there's a finite end to it and there's a purpose for it, but I can't do it arbitrarily and for the sake of it.
Well, and this is for me. This is only extending the 4 we got now.
This is for the major subdivisions.
The major subdivisions, right.
Okay.
Board, I think.
Right, but let's be clear on it. I mean, it said building moratorium, so I want to
when you make whoever makes a motion, they can make it to say major subdivisions.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Werman.
Well, some of the same stuff that this applies to major subdivisions, which is not all buildings. It's not even minor subdivisions, and so. Yeah, I guess that tracks with my memory of the history, Mr. Boykin, that I think we'd received maybe some advice from Ms. Ham that, for a moratorium to be, I guess, legal, there does have to be some sort of end goal in mind. The end goal in 10 Mile seems to be hopefully coming close. I understand 10 Mile is not the only settlement community. I would be curious, Mr. Evans, if any of the other settlement communities are looking at, overlay districts. If they aren't, then we probably need to get that going to make a final decision so that we don't have the same discussion a year from now. I'm open to extending it another year too if other folks want to basically do an overlay district. I think that is my understanding of the goal of the moratorium, though. Well, Mr. Evans, would you be able to speak to that?
Sure. So 10 Mile definitely wanted to do an overlay. We've been in discussions with them for the past 2.5, 3 years. It is complete, and in fact, this past week, staff posted all the properties, about 700 signs on each property. And this body will be seeing the overlay district that we've been working on. And it is staff's understanding that the reason for the moratorium in the historic districts was to accomplish those types of things.
Yes.
There's also area character appraisals or analysis that can be done on historic districts as well that would also assist the Historic Preservation Commission in their duties of what they're trying to do to protect the character. My understanding is that the Hamlin community has almost finished their draft to bring forward to this council. So that would be accomplished. I'm hopeful that would be done before June of next year. The Phillips community has only shown so far interest in doing a community plan. So it's not necessarily an overlay district, but a community plan that outlines kind of what they want to see. Where that is right now, I'll have to get with Mr. Habersham to see, but they have been working on that. Beefield is the only one of the 4 communities that we lost our contact for that community. There's not a specific person for us to go to. That person no longer lives in Beefield, I believe. So we're open to having discussions with Beefield to see if they want to do additional things. But for 10 Mile, it was the rezoning of the R4 to S3 and the overlay zoning district. And those 2 will be accomplished soon. Oh, well, one of them's already accomplished, but the other one will be.
Well, that sounds. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Like I said, I just want to make sure I'm open to extending it. It can't go on forever.
No.
And I just want to make sure that the stuff underlying that is progressing and is not just sort of sitting dormant. Sounds like it is. Sounds like some of it's going to be complete soon, but others are not. So.
Mr. Boykin?
Hold on one second, Mr. Evans. So to be clear, this only applies to the 4 recognized established historic settlement communities, not all settlement communities, those specifically.
Only the 4 we voted on.
Correct. And so, Mr. Evans, have you had any contact with Saul Agree regarding any interest in pursuing this?
We've had discussions briefly. Saul Agree is unique. They have an overlay district. So whatever it is that they want to tweak or change in their community, and we spent a couple of years with Saul Agree community creating there. So they have the tool and the mechanism in place. If they want to change that, they're welcome to come to us and staff will process.
All right, I guess my last question is, do you see that staff needs any additional time to see through the 10 Mile community?
I don't think for the overlay district is going to be complete soon. I think that's going to. Now, I do know that they're working on their area character appraisal analysis next, which will also be another. So 10 Mile will have triple layers. They've got the S3 now. They're going to have those overlay zoning district. And if they move forward with their ACA, then they'll have those 3. They'll have about every tool that we can come up with.
So I guess my point I'm trying to make is we don't necessarily need to extend this moratorium for them to have the proper safety and protocols in place.
Not by next June, because the overlay district will be adopted.
Okay.
Within a few months, a couple months. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that was my point. Of course, Mr. Boykin just asking Mr. Evans before entering this discussion, I had one idea because I do support, kind of slowing down, but the 10 Mile community jumped right in based on, the scope to achieve something in the time of the moratorium to stop and look like they've done 3 things. And so they'll have triple protections, at least 2 of them achieved by the time of the moratorium sunset. And then as icing on the cake, they'll have the area character appraisal that also will, kind of help typify, that community. Mr. Habersham is here as it relates to Phillips and their community plan. So it sounds like they have something cooking as it relates to Phillips. And then, of course, you say that Saul Agree already has, which is not in this discussion, but they already have mechanisms and they have tools. And then, of course, Hamlin should be coming to us very soon. And so whereas I was thinking that it was such very urgent for us to do something in order to extend those historic settlement communities that when the moratorium was set, they did not sit down idly. They started getting to work, and all of the tools and mechanisms that will further protect them are already coming by the end of that sunset. And so, I didn't know that at first, when I thought that potentially, this was something to raise to a level. And if we're just looking to extend it by one more year and it only affects these communities and they would have already achieved it by June, then
Some may achieve. But
well, you're saying that Hamlin is coming
My understanding is Hamlin is coming with their ACA shortly.
before June.
I'm fully expected before June.
10 Mile has
10
two
Mile
things.
has,
And potentially three.
This body, October 14th, will see the
Okay.
public hearing for the overlay district. So that should be adopted November.
And
timeframe.
Phillips decided for themselves, instead of the overlay district, they were doing their own community plan, which
Correct.
does provide.
Yes, and when Phillips was designated, they also identified their contributing resources as an extra as well. Yes,
So they do have other levers.
yes, they did.
Yeah, okay, well,
Werman?
A couple of questions here, so bear with me. I apologize, but 10 Mile, you said they're also looking at doing an ACA. Is that correct? I guess.
Yes, that is correct. That's my understanding. Yes.
What's the timeline on that?
I don't know the exact. We're waiting on responses back to staff has been working with them. We're trying to do one thing at a time. We did the rezoning. We finished the overlay, and then now we're going to be working on the ACA with.
I guess I want to ask. Well, maybe this isn't the last question. Is there any reason that it has to be all or nothing when it comes to settlement communities? Like, could we peel it off of one and leave it on another once they're done? I mean, I guess that's maybe a question worth asking.
I think that's up to council.
Okay. Sounds like the answer is yes, we could. And then I do want to ask, sort of Mr. Grabowski's point, maybe he's going to address it shortly. To the extent a new settlement community went through the process and got designated, I take it that we could also put a moratorium specific to, if we can peel it off of one, then I think we could put it onto one. We could make one specific for them.
Well, we would hope if a future historic district came forward, we've now in our new ordinance that we've drafted, we're suggesting that some of these things be in place.
Fair enough.
So that if you're going to become a historic, we've learned from the first few, if you're going to become a historic district, please have an ACA with that at least, or please have your contributing resources identified so that we're not having to back up and try to get these things like we've had to do with a couple of the other districts.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Grabowski, then we're going to move forward. Mr. Moody, you
Okay,
have-
make a comment and make my motion then. I think the operative word I'm hearing from everybody is, well, it's coming, it could be. That's all speculative until we vote and do it. So I'd rather have the moratorium in place for a year. We don't know what's going to come out, what we're going to final vote. That's all speculative. And if overlay districts and urban growth boundaries were the answer to everything, we wouldn't be in the mess we are now countywide with development. I think that's a false narrative to think that's going to solve our overdevelopment problems. This is to not allow major subdivisions in places where they shouldn't be. And I would still hope that we extend the moratorium and not hope on something speculative that hasn't happened. And if overlay districts and urban growth boundaries were the answer to our overdevelopment and infrastructure, look around. It hasn't done that. And I would hope that my motion, I'll amend it so it's specific, to extend the moratorium for another year for major subdivisions, I'll make that clear, and direct the staff to reach out to other potential areas, specifically the unincorporated areas around McClellanville and Allendale, to see if we can create new historic settlement communities there to anticipate the future growth that if anybody's ever driven out there can see going there. And if we don't do this, we'll end up with nothing but condos and subdivisions all the way to the Santee River in anticipation of what's about to happen in Georgetown County. That's going to come down in Charleston County. This is a way to anticipate and be proactive rather than just reactive. Wait till all this happens, just like we do in the southern part of Highway 17, we can whine and do things, but it's too late. This is a way to anticipate the development and do something before it happens. That's the reason, and that's my motion. Thank you.
Can we clarify the motion?
There's no second, so it dies for lack of second, but Mr. Moody had his hand up. But before you do that, Mr. Karbowski, even if we wanted to do something with Arwindale, McClellanville, we can't. Those people got their own town government.
No, I said the unincorporated
Yeah.
areas around there,
Yeah.
not the towns.
Okay. Mr. Moody?
Because the villages are separate, I understand.
Mr. Moody?
And this is Orwellian here tonight. This is scary stuff. Sam, the Supreme Court said moratorium should be temporary in nature. What constitutes a taking? If you need to think about it and get back to me, you can.
Yeah, why don't you do that Tuesday so we can have the right information?
If you got an idea off the top of your head, I'm not done, Mr. Boykin. I got a lot more.
Mr. Moody, I typically don't like to give advice in public, but the general general nature of a taking would be that all viable uses of the property have been stripped away from a property owner.
Mm-hmm. That's a moratorium. So it's a moratorium. You've had your chance. You've had 3 chances. My turn. Now, if I asked everybody in this room if they were for property rights, everybody's hand would shoot up. I've got a property that's zoned to do something. I want to do it. And Mr. Boykin doesn't like it. He goes crazy. And he comes to council and says, put a moratorium on that guy's property. And this council, I think, would be open to it. It's scary. Moratoriums have consequences. The town of Mount Pleasant, how long was their moratorium? 7, 8 years? I mean, it was selfish. Which one? It was selfish. What it did is it pushed everything everywhere else. Like a seawall. Everything went to up I-26. Everything went to West Ashley. Everything went to James Island. Everything went to Ladson and Hanahan and Goose Creek. It pushed it everywhere. They got theirs, and everybody else got theirs. So it's, what are you going to do with the 30 people a day that are moving here? I see the bumper stickers. We full. Tell them we full. What? That's okay. They're still coming. You can't be for affordability and be for moratoriums. You just can't. The economics don't work. There's supply and demand out there. And if you're for affordability and creating affordable housing, the answer to that, and I'm not wild about it, but the answer to that is supply. Now, I've been a real critic of where does that go? Out. I've been a very good critic of that. But in my district, the Ryan Steakhouse, go for it. Citadel Mall, go for it. A lot of ways in and out. Bike, bus, rapid transit all over the place, all of those places. That's the kind of stuff we need to be doing. But moratorium is code for I'm out of ideas. Mm-hmm. It's scary what I'm hearing tonight. This taking, this for lack of value of property rights is scary what I'm hearing up here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Moody, before I go, I don't think somebody's talking about taking. I think they're talking about saving the settlement community from major subdivisions. Okay? Now, those folks still can go and build if they want to, but they'd have to build one every acre or build whatever the subdivision standards are. And so if we didn't protect the 10-mile community, you would see major development out there already. And so to me, the moratorium worked because it allowed them to come back and said, this is what I want in my community. I don't want, 4 houses an acre, or 8 houses an acre, and they should have the right to do that because, that's property that was handed down from years and years to come. And so I don't want, to put it out in the public that this county is against development because I think that would be a bad idea. We just against going in, well, some of us are against going into these communities that are settlement communities and then popping up these apartments and these houses and says, okay, all this in the name of affordable. Affordable for who? $400,000 is affordable for who? I've seen it in North Charleston, where on Union Heights now, you got houses going for $465,000 on a 10 by 15 or 20 lot. That's unheard of. The folks over there probably didn't pay no more than $15,000 for a house, but they're popping up. And so those are the kind of things that they're trying to protect these settlement communities from being overran and run out of their own community. Mr. Boykin, and then I go into Mr. Werman, and we're going to wrap it out.
Thank you, Mr. Pryor. Let's walk this back to where this all started. This was for designated historic preservation
Correct. Right.
settlements.
Right.
They were identified, all the TMS numbers were recorded. We knew specifically where we were protecting, and this was for the benefit of 10 Mile so that they could get their overlay district in place, and we've been told that's going to get accomplished within the time frame given. There's nothing to say if something doesn't happen, as Mr. Kabrowski says, can't speculate. We don't have to speculate. We can come back in May or April,
Yes.
and if it's not done then we can revisit this. But we don't need to do it for the sake of doing it, just because something might happen. And, there's a distinction between what we did there and a blanket, let's just put a moratorium on everything up there in East Cooper. That flies in the face of everything that's good and proper and best practices and the law. So I appreciate the sentiment, not against. I feel that way. I want to protect as much of the low country as we can. I'm with him on why he wants to do it, but it's just not the right way to go about it, and it doesn't follow protocol and procedures and policies.
Mr. Werman?
I think Mr. Boykin touched on a lot of what I was going to touch on, which is that this was not a building moratorium, even though I understand that is what came up. This was very narrow. I don't think it was a taking, and I frankly think, as long as we can kind of land the plane here, that it has worked largely. And, I'll say to Mr. Kabrowski, I'm still open to extending it if we do need to extend it. If we get in touch with B-Field and they've got some activity that needs to happen, or if one of the ACAs is delayed for some period of time, or if a new settlement community comes into existence. It sounds like we have the ability to specify specific areas here. So I think I remain open to the concept of moratoriums, but I recognize they can't go on forever, and it looks like hopefully a lot of the goals, at least, of this one are soon to be accomplished. So.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for the discussion. The motion died for lack of second. And if this doesn't work out and they need more time, if the deadline delay is coming, the same people going to be here in another 6 months. So, we can talk about it then, an extension if need be. All right? Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's the last item on that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pryor. You had very active committees tonight.
Yes.
And certainly there was a lot of fireworks and great discussion. We're now moving into our Finance Committee.
Approval, item 1.
Properly moved and seconded, item 1. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 2,
Approval,
resolutions.
A and B.
Go ahead. I had a
Yes,
question.
it's properly moved.
Question on 2B.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see any correspondence today. Is that still?
We did send you some correspondence.
Does
some
2B
recent-
need to be taken up later, or Mr.
Let
2,
me-
you got an opinion?
I believe this is just clarifying what council has already done, so the language matches up in the ordinance.
Thank you, sir.
Is that the right way to say that, ma'am? I don't. Okay.
Thank you. I'm good, Mr. Middleton.
All right, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 3.
Approval 3A, B, and C.
All right.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Discussion on which?
3B.
All right, 3A and C. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. 3B, Mr. Kabrowski.
I see that the biggest thing is for the Visitor Bureau of $206,020, and I just would ask the staff, what exactly are they getting for that?
Ms. Smith is here, and so I don't know if we would like, and we're not going to put you on the spot. It's so good to see you tonight.
Yes, it is.
Ms. Smith is here from the CVB and can speak to this herself, or, we can, howsoever, which would be more appropriate.
Let's do it.
Come on up here. All right, so what this is the final payment. Oh, thank you. The final quarterly payment that came in from the Department of Revenue was more than we had originally expected. So this is a formula-based program, and so they get a certain percentage of what comes in from the Department of Revenue. So we're just truing that up for the end of the fiscal year of 25.
Do we have any discretion between the municipalities here and I mean, you're saying we have no choice, we have a finite amount of money, because I don't see, again, forgive me if I don't understand, that the other municipalities in here, there's just some municipalities, not all the municipalities of Charleston County.
So there's a budget set during the fiscal year, and those municipalities received everything that they were supposed to based on the formula, the grant formula. And so these are just in addition to what was originally budgeted in FY25. So again, we're just giving them the portion that we're required to give them of that state A tax.
So, and this, so I can understand that the total amount of money available is $347,389, and you're saying that we have no discretion at all other than to give the Visitor Bureau $206,020. Is that what you're telling me?
Based on the percentage that we are required to give them, yes, sir.
If it meant orientation, you might have heard more than that.
Anything you
Allocated, in other words.
No, sir.
I would only add thank you very much
Yes,
for your
sir.
consideration. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
No, I don't. So the motion has been made and seconded.
Okay, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thank you so much, Ms. Smith.
Before we move on, so I'm gonna drop a bomb on y'all, and I want Mr. Tootin and his staff to look into that. So at our aviation meeting we had last Thursday, we were talking about, different things, and so it came up. I didn't know that every plane that flies in Charleston, over Charleston County in our airspace, that the Department of Revenue gets some type of percentage for them being there, but they don't share it with us. So I would like for our staff to look in and see what would it take for us to get our portion. Because, and I was like, are you sure? They said, yes, every plane that lands there, flies in the airspace in Charleston County is charged a fee. And the Department of Revenue has been collecting all this fee, and we didn't get any here in Charleston County, so I want my share if we can get it. If it ain't but $1, that's $1 more than we had. So can someone look into that for us?
We will look into that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I wanted it to be on record that.
Put it on the list of the delegation.
Well, I mean, it could be a lot, all those planes coming in and out of the airport now, and it says it has to be if it's in Charleston County airspace. So they got to come to Charleston County to land.
Yeah, we get money for each one of them.
Yeah, but
We don't, they do.
They do. The Department of Revenue does. So why can't we share in that revenue?
Good question.
Yeah, so that's my question. Why can't we share the revenue and get a part of that to help our people? So now you got the assignment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Mr.
much
Chairman.
for that information. So looking at 4,
I move for approval 4A.
all right.
Discussion?
Yeah, let's do these one at a time.
Yes, sir.
This is a U.S. A company that supports the United States naval vessels, right? Mm-hmm. Mr. Johnson, anything else you wish to elaborate?
Yeah, they intend on building 3 new buildings on their land. This is I'm asking for you all, recommending tonight that you guys amend a current fee that we have with them. Mm-hmm. And the anticipated revenue is $22.7 million over 20 years. And the amendment is to amend the special source revenue credit to a not to exceed amount of $4 million.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Kowalski?
Questions? Is Project Flare, is that the name of the company?
That is not the name of the company, sir.
Do we know the name of the company?
I do know the name of the company, sir.
Is that publicly?
No, sir.
So again, we'll be voting on a company that we can't publicly name, or?
Until third reading and public hearing, sir.
And I asked that this came up and there was something, is that a law that we cannot name it, or is it a choice that we have not to name it? I just asked our staff that. Is it a state law that it's mandatory that you can't name the company till the third reading? Again, and I ask you, you said the revenue would be $22 million. What would be the cost, sir? I mean, is it just they're giving us money, or are we giving up something?
Under the commerce.
The incentive, what is the incentive, and what is the change in the tax status to them and the benefit to them? I assume what is the incentive in layman's terms?
No, you're right.
So, yes, sir, Mr. Kravitsky, it's again to amend the current fee that they're currently under, and that amendment is to increase that special source revenue credit to $4 million, not to exceed $4 million, sir.
Mr. Kravitsky, let me make some clarifications. I may have misstated that. I actually don't know, so I can get you that information before the council meeting.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Boykin?
Mr. Kravitsky, this particular FILO amendment is for an enterprise that is doing critical work for our national security, and I fully support it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so I think by law, we bound through commerce that we can't disclose until third reading. And the reason that is, say for instance, we tell this company no, and they want to go somewhere else. So they might be competing in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and North Carolina. And so they didn't want their name to be out in the paper. Stonehenge got, turned down by, Charleston County. And that's why these things were put in place, and they got these names to protect their identity. And so if we pass this, then on right before third reading, they have to give us, the real name of the company. Mm-hmm. So these things are put in place not by us, by Commerce, State Commerce. We don't put this in place. And so ever since I've been here, that's the way it's been done. But you still got up to up to third reading. If you want to vote yes or vote no, you can change. But you got to remember, these folks are investing money in. They're not investing small money, millions and millions of dollars. And I know you keep asking about small businesses. The small businesses don't invest millions and millions of dollars and create hundreds of jobs and put back. I put it like this. Right now, if you're getting nothing, okay? But if they stay, you end up getting 6% versus 10.5% in the FILO. So that's how it works. It's just, you're giving up 4.5 you never had to get 6 to put back into the economy. And, and not only this, the spinoff jobs, these people need suppliers. You look at Boeing, how many suppliers they have brought here under the name, and then they're expanding right now. They got a big expansion that's going on. Mm-hmm. The local people that dump trucks and all these equipments that they're bringing in. So these things do work. And if we're going to tell people we're not open for business, you know what's going to happen? They're going to go right across the line to Berkeley or Dorchester, and we still going to get the traffic with our folks leaving to go to where these plants are, and we won't get a dime in revenue. And so I think as chairman of that committee, maybe you might want to sit down with Mr. Johnson and his staff and get a little bit more in depth, how the system works, and then it might enlighten you, a little more respectfully.
All right.
Briefly, can I just 30 seconds just respond?
Mr. Moody, and then we'll come back.
Thank you, Mr. Middleton. Mr. Pryor, excellent points. I want to put a little math on it just to oversimplify. Mr. Johnson, this company, let's just say this company pays the county $500,000 a year in property taxes. If we did not approve this and they built and expanded anyway, which they wouldn't do, let's say they expanded anyway and they would owe us $1.5 million. We're telling them we'll take $1,250,000 instead of $1.5 million.
That is correct.
I'm okay with that.
You're still spending money.
All right, Mr. Kurowski.
Make it quick. My point is there's thousands of small businesses, myself included. I understand we're not all large businesses, but the cumulative effect of us giving tax breaks to people when they pay taxes on their home, they pay taxes in the grocery store, and they pay taxes on their own property taxes, the cumulative effect of giving similar tax breaks to everybody, what you're saying would apply to all of us who have small businesses. And I don't like picking winners and losers, and I can't vote for somebody I don't know who it is to use public money, and that's what I'm doing. Not that you're not doing a great job of what you do. I respect that, and obviously you do a great job for what your task is, but I can't vote for a company. I don't know who it is. I can't vote for something picking some citizens to have tax breaks and businesses, especially, and then not for everybody. When the small business people work just as hard, and cumulatively we would have more of an effect by giving everybody that break. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And just to make sure another point for you, Mr. Kravitsky, is the small businesses, so the manufacturers get assessed at 10.5%. The small businesses are already assessed at 6%. So all we're doing is bringing them down to the 6%, sir.
All right, so I am going to support this. This is a U.S., this supports U.S. Naval vessels. Certainly it expands an existing footprint. And so all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. 4B.
Was the count? What was the count? Was that a no?
Say it again?
Was that?
I think I only got Mr. Kabrowski as a no.
For approval on 4B.
Okay, 4B.
Second.
And similarly, it probably moved and seconded, and certainly this is, again, not a, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you so much. 4C, this is in integrity.
Second.
Okay, probably moved
I'll second it.
and seconded.
So let me ask this question, Mr. Johnson. And I think with Mr. Dykes asked the same question. So this longevity people, didn't they just leave or they went under when they had the big mill? No. Who owned the paper mill?
That was Capstone, sir.
So they weren't operating under the name longevity?
No, sir. So longevity was spun out of Capstone. It's a standalone publicly traded company, sir.
Okay, good. So now, before you sit down, so with Capstone, did we have clawbacks on Capstone since they didn't meet their commitments?
That is correct. We did, sir.
And so we're getting that money. So, Mr. Kabrowski, that's how that works. If you don't meet your standards, you still got to pay what you promised. Mm-hmm. So, that's when you call clawback, that's an insurance policy that we had with these folks. So we still get the money even though they're not here. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 5.
For approval, A and B.
All right, properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 6, the committee recommendation from our Transportation and Sales Tax Committee.
Move committee recommendation.
All right, properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. You said nay?
Yes,
One
sir.
nay. Thank you so much.
He's always on the round side.
That's all right. we're going to get him on. We're going to get him. We're going to rope him in 2026.
I'm gonna bring my oil. He's
He's going to be roped right
put
on
some in
in.
his shoes.
Good night.
Okay.
I still think that there's an opportunity.